Good morning and welcome to my kitchen. I've got another fabulous 2 recipes for you today. Homemade limoncello from the Amalfi Coast and a beautiful wild mushroom pesto pasta served with spaghetti. It's going to be delicious. First of all, we're going to kick things off with a homemade limoncello. Now, this is mine. I made this 4 weeks ago. It has steeped nicely in lots of lemon zest. It's going to be delicious. And this is how I made it. Right, so now you've got the limoncello. So I've got some flavours that work really well together. We've got a lemon, we've got rosemary. We're going to use that as our stirrer. So let's just pop that in my glass with some ice. Fresh blueberries. Blueberry and lemon work. Okay. Pop those in there. And then we will get our liqueur. I'm just using a measuring cup because I'm not like Emily. I don't have spirit measures at hand at home all the time. Emily does. So just take your limoncello liqueur and pour it straight over the ice. What do you think of this, Emily? Do you like the sound of it?
That looks really good. And it sounds really nice too.
And then, because we've got sugar in our limoncello already, it's a liqueur, I'm going to use sparkling water rather than lemonade, or soda water if you prefer. And then you get a true flavour, not just really sweet lemony flavour. Okay, so in with your sparkling water. Oh, look at that. Ain't that pretty? There you go, Emily. Another alcohol-based post for your Instagram. Every weekend, Emily Gray's Instagram has alcohol in it, doesn't it?
It's not a bad thing.
Use your rosemary to stir it all up. And what a great way to kick off a delicious meal. Right, enough of this tomfoolery. It's time to cook. There you go, Emily. You can try that.
Oh, thanks.
Right, mushroom pesto. If you're a big mushroom fan, you are going to absolutely love this recipe. So I have got a 4-litre pan of salted boiling water on the go. First thing I'm going to do is get my pasta on. Now, if you're going to feed a family of 4, you want between 350 and 400 grams of pasta. Now, Carlos will run the recipe down the side here of all the ingredients. If you're hungry, if you've got a big appetite as a family, go 400 grams. If you're not, between 300 and 350 grams of dried pasta will be enough, okay? So, always in with our pasta, and we want it to be salted, boiling water. It's really important that your seasoning process starts with your pasta water, okay? So in goes. That's going to take 9 minutes to cook, all right? Are you a mushroom fan?
Yeah, I like them.
You like your mushrooms, do you? Right, so we're going to do 2 different types. I've got some basic field mushrooms here. Nothing fancy, nothing, you know, technical. And then I've got dried wild mushrooms, okay? So these are really, really meaty. They're delicious. They've been dried, so they're much more intense in their flavour. So pop them into a bowl and then get a kettle of boiling water, and then we're just going to pour enough water over our mushrooms just to hydrate them. And they're just going to go and just drink all that lovely hot water and swell up and be ready for us to cook with. Okay, now remember, if you've got any questions at all, post them in the comments below. And while I mention posting comments below, if you would like a copy of our free ebook for all our Italian recipes, just type in the comments below in Facebook, free book. It will launch into Messenger, Facebook Messenger, and follow the instructions. And with the wonderful wizardry in our IT department, thank you, Lee, you know who I'm talking about. It will send you an ebook with all our lovely recipes. Emily's pulled it all together. She's dipped into the archive. She's found some old images of me without grey hair, haven't you, Emily?
Yep.
Of when I was in Italy last. We haven't been for a little while, so we're due another visit. But if you want the book, type in the comments below on Facebook, free book. Then it will open into Messenger and off you go. Right, back to the recipe. So, big non-stick pan. And then we're just going to chop our mushrooms up. I slice them because I want big surface area. We want to get rid of all the moisture out of the mushrooms because they are full of water, okay? And we've got to get rid of them. You all right, Carlos?
Yeah.
We're good? We're moving about? Oh, right, okay. So, what's different now? Normally, I would oil and season my ingredients and whack them in the pan, but with mushrooms, we're actually going to season the pan with a little bit of salt on the bottom there. And then that is then going to sit next to the mushrooms. So rather than chuck a pile in, we're just going to pop them in and make sure that they're directly sitting on the salt. Yeah? And that will help us draw the moisture out. And then that means we get that really intense mushroomy flavour. We're all right. So you don't get to see what I see, because I get to see these two bouncing into life, and all of a sudden they adjust a camera or press a button, and I never quite know whether we're all right or not, but it would appear we're okay. As long as you can see what's going on, we'll be all right. Okay, so the herbs that work really, really well with mushrooms are things like thyme, rosemary, sage, a little bit of bay. All those sort of more robust woody herbs always work better. Okay, so rather than chop them up, we're just going to break them up and just get the flavours going. We've got some fresh thyme.
Can you use dried for this if you don't have...
Yeah, if you haven't got fresh mushrooms, just use all dried. That's absolutely fine. We're going to introduce those in a minute.
And what about the herbs?
Oh, I don't really like dried rosemary or thyme much. I personally, I really don't like them. I just don't think they're anywhere near as nice as the fresh, and they're really easy to look after. But I guess if that's all you've got, that's all you've got, isn't it?
Yeah.
A little bit of olive oil now, just to get things moving, and you can hear the crackles now. And it's all about getting rid of the moisture, and that salt will hit the mushroom. And it will just draw the moisture out, hit the bottom of the pan, and then evaporate. That's what we want. Right, so you can see the salt has done its job. It's drawn the moisture out of the mushrooms. Okay, and then let me show you our dried mushrooms. Look, can you see how they've swollen up and they've softened, yeah? But look at that. Can you see that liquid there, Emily?
Yeah.
That's like mushroom stock. It's really strong in flavour, and it's just too good to waste, okay? So I'm going to add it into my pan, and we're going to continue to boil that out and reduce it so that we just get the flavour and not the liquid. All right? So just spread that out, full heat. Let's evaporate that down, get rid of all the liquid. While that's going on, let's take our dried mushrooms that are no longer dry, and we're just going to chop them up just to get things started. Okay. I was never a mushroom fan as a kid and a young adult, to be honest, really, because They were just very soggy and slimy and they weren't cooked properly. But a good, well-cooked mushroom is really meaty, okay? So we'll get these in.
Would you always do like half dried, half fresh, or could you use all fresh?
You can, but you don't get as the intense flavour of mushroom like you do if you use half and half. So, you know, in fact, I was in a Chinese supermarket in Birmingham last week, actually, and you can get big bags quite cheaply of dried mushrooms, usually shiitake mushrooms, which are really beefy, actually, really meaty, really good. And because they're dried, they just sit in the cupboard for ages. They're really good for stews and things like that. So, yeah, but fresh mushrooms are lovely and they give a nice texture, but you've got to get all the water out. It takes a long time, a lot of work. And if you really love that mushroom flavour, and making pestos is all about preserving the flavour. Right, let's make our pesto. Now, I've got my little gadget here. I like this gadget because I can't be bothered to get my big food processor out. I'm just going to use my handheld one. So I've got 2 small cloves of garlic here. They can go in. I've got some roasted walnuts. You could use hazelnuts. You could use cashew nuts.
Oh, you beat me to it.
I stole her question, didn't I? Sorry, we've been at this too long, you see. Yeah, you can use either, really. And then I'm just going to put some Parmesan in. Now, Parmesan is not a vegetarian cheese because they use an animal product traditionally, but you can get loads of alternative Parmesan cheeses in the supermarket if that's important to you and it matters. Okay? So, a really, really good aged Italian cheese that works for you, but I do like to use Parmesan personally because it's so good. Right. Okay. So, mushrooms dried out now. Let's pop those in there. You can make as much or as little as you want. I'm just making enough for the meal. And we'll hang on to those mushrooms. And we'll serve those up with our pasta. Pop that onto there. Right, let's get going. Extra virgin olive oil. In it goes. And then we're going to blend this up. Got a string, you see? Look at that. Perfect for making just the right amount. So you don't have to get the big food processor out and all this, that and the other. So.
How long will this last for in the fridge?
I would say this will last a couple of weeks.
Right.
Easy. I mean, the whole point of pesto is to preserve. It's about preserving what you've got. So traditionally, basil pesto is the one that most people are familiar with. And the reason why you get mushroom pesto is basil doesn't necessarily grow in the winter in Italy, so you don't get it. And they're very good at sort of going, well, it's not very good, so we're not going to have it. We'll find something else to make our pesto with. So you get mushroom pestos, you get walnut pestos, mint pestos, basil pesto, sun-dried tomato pesto, all sorts of different things. You know, you can... I did a sun-dried tomato and fennel pesto once, and that was delicious. Really, really good. And we did... what did we do? We did spinach and feta pesto.
Oh, we did, yeah.
A few months ago. Right, so there you go. Pesto. Hey, pesto.
I knew I was just about to say that.
I'm allowed to do dad jokes, Emily. You're not. Right, so there is our pesto to one side. Right, let's just grab this bowl. Pop this on here. The extra mushrooms I've got left over, I'm just going to pop there because they're just too good to not waste, really. So we're going to pop that pan back on the heat. Number 7. Let's just have a little wipe down because I like to have a clean hob. There we go. Now remember, if you've got any questions at all, please do post them in the comments below. I'm here to help. I'm here to talk to you. You know, here to inspire you to try new things, new recipes, new cooking techniques, you name it. So please comment. I like it. I like a chat. So, pasta's cooking nicely. Right. So this is the final episode of our Italian series. It's been a good one, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Been some good recipes. Been lots of people viewing it, which is really, really good. And remember, if you want the copy of the ebook, type in the comments below free book and it'll launch into Facebook Messenger and off you go. You will get automatically the PDF of our book. Okay? Right, so pesto in. Nice. Right. And then what I want is some water from our pasta. So I'm just going to steal a little bit. And that's got starch in it and it makes it lovely and creamy. There we go. And let's just mix that around. And then it becomes a sauce. And the pasta naturally has starch released into the water. And that's what makes it, it kind of brings it all together. Okay? So don't pour your pasta through a colander. Use a pair of tongs and lift some of that water out with it. There we go. Nice. In with our leftover mushrooms. In with a few of our walnuts as well for a bit of crunch. That'll make it nice. And then we'll give it that little toss. There we go. That little toss. Look at that. Can you see that? Which camera, Emily?
Overhead.
Overhead. There you go. Look, the way those mushrooms have just coated it all beautifully now. Just stir it all up. That's it. And then I am simply just going to get a little bit of black pepper in there. Don't need any salt because it cooked in salted water. We use salt to draw out the mushrooms, so we're all good. And then finish with a bit more parmesan. There we go. I mean, that big pan of pasta like that, just take it to the table with some bowls and some forks and you're done. Lovely. Right. That is how you make my mushroom pesto pasta. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed our Italian series. Dive back in, watch some of the old episodes as well, and post some comments below, and I will see you on the next series.